Hello, I'm Tara Brabazon, and I'm the Dean of Graduate Studies at Charles Darwin University. Welcome to Outrider 49, Bad Writing. What a great title, and this request comes via Max. Max has been a dear friend that we've met in the last 6 months or so. Max is legendary, and she's just commenced her master's degree, and she has walked with us very gently at CDU as we explore the nature of knowledge and the nature of research. You rock, Max. And Max asked me a particular, very specific request to offer a commentary on Ben Yagoda's great book, How Not to Write Bad. What a great title that is, How Not to Write Bad. Love it. And that's what we're going to talk about this week. Now, Max doesn't know this when she offered this suggestion, but after we do the rather big Outrider 50 on a very special Outrider, a legendary Outrider, can I say, the next suite of Outriders that I'm going to write, I am writing and researching and presenting to you, are about writing. So Max didn't know this, so this is a tremendous sort of prelude to what is going to be a very big and important series. And the reason why we're doing this big series on writing is because at CDU, just about every student that meets with me, when I ask them how they're going, what's worrying them, always students say, I don't feel like I'm a very good writer. I can't write well. I worry about writing. So as always, we'll confront that issue, that problem, that challenge directly, and we'll explore how to step by step improve one's writing and also improve the attitude, our relationship with writing and improvement. So that's where we're going to be going. But how brilliant is it that before we get to that main course, the meat and potatoes of writing, we have this beautiful little weird entree, bad writing. It's a phrase that's used so often. It's used, quite sadly, from supervisors to their students when they've just had enough. They go, this is just bad writing. Sort yourself out, this is bad writing. And of course we get it through peer review. A peer reviewer often says this is just bad writing, this is just bad writing. And of course the language that we speak to ourselves is, oh, that's a shocker. Wow, I'm writing badly at the moment, right? So this phrase is used a lot in our interior life, but also it's used at us and it hurts, ouch. So therefore, let's unpick this phrase, bad writing. What is it? And that's a really great question. And we're working with Ben Yagoda's book, as per Max's request, to understand a little bit about how bad writing operates. So bad writing for Yagoda is writing that has technical problems within it. So we start to see spelling or punctuation or grammar issues or just very strange phrases that we just don't know what they mean. So we read something and go, I do not know what that means. So vocabulary is limited. We see a series of repeated words because the vocabulary is small. And most importantly, and this is where it gets complicated, readability is blocked. So the point of writing is that it is to be read. And if the reading process is difficult, it sort of subverts the whole project of writing. Therefore, bad writing is created through a lack of technical skills with the very agents and instruments of writing. Now, this is important. A lot of students, thousands over the years, to be honest with you, come to me and they complain. And my own students do this, by the way. My own students do this as well. It's like, Tara, why are you focusing so strongly on spelling and grammar and punctuation and rubbish like that? I don't want you to focus on that. I want you to focus on the content. Now, maybe you've said the same thing about your supervisor, but there is a reason why our first draft, our first reading of student work focuses on the technicalities of language. And that is, no one will bother reading your content if they see these technical errors. You see, technical errors block your readability and also they undermine your credibility, to be frank. When I see spelling and grammatical errors in students' work, I worry a great deal because if there's those sort of errors, what else is going on? Because it's sloppy. Okay, so the point of bad writing, what it actually is writing that has technical issues. And those technical issues block your engagement with ideas, with concept, with knowledge, with research. It is a lens that darkens all possible interpretations and commentaries about your research. The problem is, though, and why bad writing is getting even worse, even since he wrote the book, is that we've got a technological revolution through digitisation. There's also a textual revolution through digitisation. This is of tweets and blogs and Instagram posts and so forth. So it is sort of, writing is sort of everywhere. And what social media has done is transformed all of us into writers. But what it's actually done, colleagues, is it's configured the written word to be more like speech. So we post online as we speak. And that's a problem, because writing is not speech. They are different modes of communication. But the point is, not everyone is a writer. And the point is, certainly not everyone is a good, concise, precise, evocative writer. It's also true that there has never been more writing than exists right now. You think about emails just of themselves. There's never been more writing. If I think, I'm so old, I started my professional life as emails were emerging in universities. And, I'd maybe send 10 emails a day. I get about 800 emails a day. That's a lot of writing. It's also a lot of reading. And this proliferation of writing has done something to our visual literacy. It's blunted our visual literacy, our engagement with writing. You see, I am arguing that because of the proliferation of writing, particularly low quality writing, that we're starting to get a bit blunted in our capacity to recognise errors. Bad writing is created through bad reading. Full stop. Obviously, there's never been more reading than exists right now. But what are we reading? We're reading those damn emails. We're reading Instagram posts. We're reading Facebook posts. We're reading tweets. And the challenge is, and obviously I've done a lot of work on this through my career, the challenge is when we read, we seek comfort. When we read, we never want to be challenged or be made to feel uncomfortable. We want to read material that makes us feel centered in the world, like we know what's going on. We don't like reading material that unsettles us. And if you think about it, how we learn is we read what we don't understand, and we continue to read it, and our understanding increases. So learning comes from confusion and challenge. It doesn't come from comfort or compliance. And of course, what we've got now is so little reading being undertaken through the diversity of modes. We mainly read online. We rarely put the online environment away and read on different platforms like paper. And a lot of the early research in the early 2000s explored the different modes of reading on paper to a screen. So just so you know, the argument was through eye tracking software that when we read on a screen, our eyes tend to do circular movements. We read like that. When we read on a piece of paper, it's linear left to right. Okay, so when we read deeply and widely, our writing improves because our vocabulary improves, and we start to model strong sentence construction. Also, the complexity of our content increases because we read, we know more. So when we have the complexity of content around us, we have to lift our modality, lift the way we write to sort of manage and handle this complicated content. When we read, we learn. When we read, we learn. And what we learn, lots of things. We learn vocabulary, spelling, we learn punctuation, but we also learn the rhythm of language. and how language and phrasing changes as it moves between different platforms. There's so many meta lessons about writing we learn from reading. Now, Yagoda states, quote, "Your writing will improve in direct proportion to the amount that you read," end of quote. I'm not quite sure where he got that data set to make that clear, bold statement, but what he's demonstrating is reading and writing are linked, and the more you read, the better you write. Full stop, thanks for playing. Yagoda is a great believer in the importance of improving writing through reading aloud. Now, I found this very, very interesting. I tend to not do this a lot, to be honest with you, but he argues that writing improves when we read it aloud and use different senses. Now, I found this great because obviously a lot of training we're doing at CDU at the moment is about PhD students in podcasting, PhD students in audiobooks. So we are looking at the soundscape, the auditory cultures around academics. Now, this is an important strategy if you're going, how am I going to improve my writing? Use Yagoda. Read it out loud and defamiliarize your relationship with your own words. Hear it and learn in a different way. That's great. Now, I think Yagoda does underplay the role of the eye and screen cultures in thinking about writing, but in terms of returning the ear and listening and auditory cultures to the improvement of writing, he's absolutely brilliant. So that's a good punt. If you're going, oh, I'm not writing well at the moment, just try reading it out loud and see if that improves your editing. So clearly Yagoda is attacking wordiness and cliches. He really does not like that, and he argues that those particular attributes of bad writing are revealed and harnessed and handled when we read out loud. Bad writing can transform into okay, reasonable writing quite easily, and that occurs, of course, through editing and drafting. So when you complain about your supervisor correcting your spelling and your grammar, we're doing this so that we can remove the bad writing characteristics from you. We're just trying to make the writing reasonable. Because the moment that the writing is reasonable or solid, then all of a sudden examiners and assessors are able to engage with the content. If you've got spelling errors, that's all people see. They will not engage with your content because it's just bad writing. Now, writing is often described as an art, the art of writing. I've never liked that. For me, writing is a craft. The craft of writing. And this craft is not only textual, about clear vocabulary, punctuation, grammar, strong sentence construction, which is one of my focuses, but it's also an awareness of an audience. And this changed my life, by the way, about 20 years ago when I realized this. Good writing is created through an awareness of your audience. So writing can be okay, but if you have not demonstrated the mode and the modality to speak to your audience, then it is bad writing. And that's why I focus so strongly on reminding students that the audience for a peer-reviewed article and an audience for an examination of a thesis are different audiences and require different styles of writing. Different audiences, be aware of the modality, the different ways of constructing good, strong prose. Bad writing may be textually fine, but also it doesn't understand its audience. So the best writing in the world, if it hasn't worked out who its audience is also still bad writing. Therefore, before any of us start writing, and I do this every time I open my computer and start writing, before you start writing, you must visualize your audience. And when you visualize that audience, that will shape the vocabulary that you select and the punctuation and the structuring of your sentences. But I need to finish this Outrider for the legendary Max by saying to you all, we are all bad writers. All of us. I'm a bad writer, you're a bad writer. We are all bad writers. The first draft that I write is absolutely terrible. It's an embarrassment to the world. It's not fit for any human to read. Yuck, 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 yuck. In fact, if I got a draft, I nearly had a draft on the table. I could show you when I'm drafting, I cover the pages. I cover the pages in corrections, right? First, second, third, fourth, fifth draft. And of course, so everyone's first draft is bad writing. Full stop. But that's the point. All of us are bad writers, and we improve when we draft our prose. Bad writing becomes better writing through drafting and editing. And that means looking at every word and the positioning of a word in a sentence, looking at the paragraph construction. And Toby Litt made an argument that the biggest mistake that writers make is to think that we've got nothing left to learn. I thought that was brilliant. Remember, I've written 20-something books, 370 refereed articles, 600 research outputs through my career. I do a lot of writing. Yeah, won some awards, it's great. But I'm a bad writer. And I have a lot to learn. I learn every day about writing. So better writers sit in the humility and go, we are one sentence away from being described as a bad writer, and to continue to learn about writing. We are all bad writers. But when we learn to draft, we listen to our prose, and we understand our audience, we become better writers. Our first drafts are boring, they're weird, they're illogical, because we are doing something difficult. And this is what I want to say to you all that are sitting and writing and so frightened and concerned about it. Remember, writing is unbelievably difficult. Unbelievably difficult. Writing involves two things. Firstly, thinking of an idea and then creating it a second time to move it from your mind and onto a page or a screen. That's remarkable. That's amazing. Being a writer is being courageous, because you are opening yourself to vulnerability. You are opening yourself to an audience who will read your words and critique you. Often. That's the courage. And as we're about to move into our writing series after Outrider 50, let's together in the next couple of weeks make a decision to just monitor a few variables in our writing. So let's do some homework, all of us together, in the next couple of weeks, and think about 5 particular attributes in your writing. So let's all do this. I'm going to do it as well. 5 things to think about in your writing. Firstly, let's select our words precisely so that we know who our audience is. So start to think a lot about the audience for your writing. And that may be PhD examiners. Think about that. Think about the audience. Secondly, never accept a first draft. A first draft should go nowhere. Don't share any draft with any other human till it's gone through 10 editing cycles. Then it might be sort of okay. 3, so important for research. Start to look at your transitions. Look at the first sentence and the last sentence of every paragraph. Are you able to smoothly move a reader through your prose? Look at the transitions. 4, my old line. When in doubt, chop it out. Don't write long sentences. Do you need that adjective? Do you really need that adjective? When in doubt, chop it out. And 5, yes, remove all cliches. Our homework for the next couple of weeks is, if you start to see yourself writing in cliches, scrub it out. Get rid of it. So with this homework in place, with this consciousness in place, we start to move bad writing into better writing. So in the meantime, let's do our homework. Let's be positive, realize what a courageous job we're doing whenever we write in and for the world. So Max, you are an amazing human being. You are a gift to me. You are a gift to CDU. And I wish Max and I wish you all love, light and peace. Tea out.